What is going on, alpha males? Welcome to the Alpha Male Podcast, the podcast where we talk about what it means to be a man the right way, with God at the center, Judeo-Christian values, and made in His image, strong, dominant, and in control, and we don't apologize for it. Today's going to be a gear review show, and not just gear that I pick up and unbox and look at and speculate about. Gear that I've used hard, ridden hard and put away wet, as they say. A lot of times we'll do deeper, more philosophical episodes on this podcast, and sometimes we just do lighthearted gear reviews. Today's going to be one of those lighthearted gear reviews. Don't know when this will come out yet. I haven't looked at the calendar, but it's recorded in the year of our Lord, 2022, on the 13th day of September. I'll put in the bio, and then we'll get into the topic. Who am I? A question we should all ask ourselves. I am, first and foremost, a servant of God, made in His very own image. A follower of Jesus Christ. A simple man called by God to the Great Commission to share the good news of Jesus Christ. Next, a little bit about my background and what God has allowed me to do and blessed me to do in life. Grew up what most would consider very poor in the backwoods of the southeastern and mid-Atlantic United States, hunting and fishing. Joined the Marine Corps at 17. Did a couple of combat tours in Iraq. So a decorated Marine Corps combat veteran. Infantry assaultman. After the combat tours, I was an urban warfare instructor for the United States Marine Corps under Mojave Viper. I also served in the U.S. Army, both full-time and part-time National Guard. Also a veteran of law enforcement. I served with LAPD. I was a sworn peace officer, a cop for LAPD. I worked regular patrol assignments and more specialized assignments. One of those more specialized assignments was warrant service, fugitive recovery. Also had some other law enforcement roles. I am an FBI certified firearms instructor and been certified by another 3-letter government agency in a lot of firearms and training things. I've also been a private contractor, worked in the private sector pertaining to tactics and gunfighting and protecting America from enemies foreign and domestic. I served as the commander of a tactical team to stop active shooters in a large metropolitan area. That was our primary mission, to stop active shooters, which sadly are a thing in America today. I've also been blessed to do quite a bit of competition shooting. Started my first formal competitions even before joining the Marine Corps at 17. I had won more shooting competitions than I can remember. I have competed in all manner of disciplines in shooting. I've been blessed to be a state rifle and pistol champion, West Coast regional champion. Like I said, been blessed to win more shooting competitions than I can remember. Mentioned hunting. I've hunted to put meat on the table starting when I was a child. I've also been a professional big game hunter and guide, hunting and slaying all manner of beast. And I don't apologize for that. Humbled to be the host of 3 podcasts. Simple Man Sermons, Alpha Male Podcast, and Gunfighter Life. Obviously, as things not mentioned, I've been blessed to do many other things. But, again, first and foremost, I'm a servant of God, a believer and follower of the Bible, the Word, Jesus Christ. And I don't apologize for that. With that, let's transition into today's topic. First of all, I'm going to caveat this by saying this show does not have any corporate sponsors. This show is supported by the grace of God and by viewers like you, patrons, and the Patreon contributions. Because of that, I think I can give you a pretty honest gear review because I paid for this stuff. Nobody gave it to me. If something's good, I'm going to tell you. And if something is not good, I'm going to tell you that too. Something I think is sorely lacking, especially in kind of the gun world that I see. Today's gear review, let's start off talking about the Pathfinder Canteen set. Now, Pathfinder is kind of Dave Canterbury's kind of survival school that he's put together. And Dave Canterbury, I'm not going to say anything bad about him. He knows more about bushcraft than I do for sure. But his Canteen Cup set, I'm going to say it kind of works. It's big and heavy, so I wouldn't want to carry it if I was like on body. What I originally got it for, like a do-it-all set that I could put on my bag and go out in the wilderness. I think it's too heavy for that. Kind of my fault. I assumed it was the size of a normal canteen. It's much larger than that. It has a really large top, which I thought I would like. The only problem is that sample size of 1, mine leaks unless I crank it down like crazy, crazy hard. If I just put it on like I think I would normally put on a canteen cap or a water bottle cap or something like that, it leaks and gets everywhere and makes stuff wet, which kind of sucks. That's the stuff you're depending on, and it's all wet because your canteen leaked and the water you were counting on is not in there because it leaks. So sample size of 1, but unless I really, really crank that thing down to the point of kind of ridiculousness, it leaks. Also, I have used it quite a bit. It's decent. Honestly, I think just a metal canteen, like a metal military canteen, the kind they used before the plastic ones, and a regular military issue canteen cup, it's probably better. If you wanted something in like a camping set to like put in a Tupperware tote and take out, and your wood batoning and make a nice pretty fire or make some soup or something like that, it would be fine for that. But I'm not super impressed with it. I've gone out, like I said, I used my stuff hard. I have gone out, I have cooked with it, I have boiled water in it. Next one, it's going to be a really good review. I really like this knife. The Tops Tracker. At first I had a Tops Tracker Mini. And I got it because I was doing small fixed blade stuff. I was experimenting with carrying a small fixed blade knife. I got this knife and I thought it was kind of weird, the design and the blade shape and everything, but I thought, you know what, I'll give it a try. I tried it and I quickly fell in love with this, the Mini, the Tops Tracker Mini. It is an awesome knife. If you're looking to get into fixed blade everyday carry, I would highly recommend it. The way I do it is put it inside my pocket so that the knife handle kind of folds into the crease of my pocket. So I wouldn't call it completely concealed, but I would say unless you are really, really looking for it, you're not going to see it. It's easy to grab. You don't have to worry about unfolding it. You just grab it. And the way that I do that is with an Ulti clip. That should be a whole nother review, but Ulti clips are awesome. Attached to most sheaths that have those grommets, like those Kydex grommets and things like that. That's how I attach mine. This is not the only knife that I EDC. It is one of my go-tos, and if I had to pick, well, I don't know, that'd be a hard pick, but it is definitely one of the two that I carry the most. The Tops Tracker Mini. Because of that, I got what I would call a more traditional Tops Tracker size. I got it, and it turned out to be like a collector's edition one, and they stopped making it, so it became worth a bunch of money. So I thought, if I use it, I'm going to tear the crap out of it, and I don't get stuff to collect it. Anyhow, I got it, and I put it away for a little while, and I went to go sell it on eBay because I figured I'll sell this one and buy another one and put the rest of the money towards the podcast and living and all that. And it had a bunch of rust on it, which you'd think would be a bad part of the review, but that was my fault. I moved from Arizona, where stuff almost never rusts, to the Pacific Northwest, where you kind of look at something and it rusts. And I pulled the knife out of the sheath, and it was a little rusty. And I thought, well, probably not collectible very much now. So I've been using it. And just like the little one, I think that big Tops Tracker knife, although very unconventional, has a lot of merit. I was really impressed with that knife. I know some other companies make the tracker style knife. One of the things I like about the Tops is the saw on the back of their knife is awesome. It's an awesome saw. It's not awesome like a actual purpose-built saw. However, for a saw on the back of a knife, it is really good. I have used it. In fact, that's what made me fall in love with the knife. The very first day I got it, I needed a saw for something, and I used a little mini Tops Tracker saw, and it worked awesome. So I get that saw without a bunch of extra weight and having to carry another tool. I like that little swept back portion of the blade to the belly, if you know what I'm talking about, of what a Tops Tracker looks like. If you don't, you should probably look up a picture. Anyway, it's good for a lot of tasks you wouldn't think that would be handy for. But just like a hawk-billed knife, if you ever use one of those for wood carving or for cutting rope, it's real popular. It's really good for that kind of stuff. It works really well. That swept back edge, that little belly in there is awesome. I think it's a really good design. It's not like just some crazy gimmicky design, which, I'll be honest, I was a little skeptical when I bought it. I thought it might be, but turns out it's a pretty good knife. And the front of that knife is just a traditional, rounded knife, which you can use for a lot of things, skinning, cutting regular things. It's a good design. The caveat, they come in different sizes. I forget which size I have. It's either the 1 or the 3, but it's a full size one. It is big and heavy. I mean, it is a heavy knife. It seems like you could hammer it into a tree and hook a winch up to it and pull your truck out of mud with it. It's that beefy. It is a beefy, heavy knife. It's probably a little bit heavier than it needs to be, knowing how strong that steel is and how thick it is. I don't need my knife to be a railroad tie, but all in all, it's an awesome knife. Both the mini is not thick like that. The mini, I think, is the right thickness. The normal one is, I think, probably thicker than it needs to be. That said, awesome knife, awesome design. Also, before I get off the Tops Tracker knife, that saw blade we talked about works awesome for a ferrocerium rod, for like striking a ferrocerium rod. Great. The next one I'm going to talk about is my go-to defensive handgun optic, the Trijicon RMR. And not the normal one that takes batteries. That's one of my things, just like I don't generally trust a gun that comes out the first 3 years it comes out, because a lot of times they have problems no matter who makes it, Glock or SIG or whatever. I like it to be around to be proven. I have a thing where I don't solely trust my life to things that take batteries. I do that 2 ways on my carry handguns. I have Coat Witness backup iron sights, and the Trijicon RMR, the one that I have, just like the Trijicon ACOG that the military uses, does not take batteries. It runs off radiation and sunlight, or whatever ambient light is in the environment. So it doesn't take batteries. There's no batteries to go bad. As long as radiation is a thing, it should continue to work, and or there's any ambient light outside. I really beat the crap out of these optics. I mean, I ran them hard. I have dropped them. I have done sprints with them. I had to go flying out of the holster onto rocks. I literally dented a barrel, and the optic was still fine. That's how hard I've used these optics. I haven't lost zero. One of the big reasons for so long I was against red dots on handguns, and I was wrong, but I was wrong for a long time and stubborn, and I thought they'll never catch on, they're not going to be viable. And the reason I thought that is because I thought they couldn't be rugged and reliable enough. And I thought, they can break. And then somebody pointed out to me, and I forget who, but wisely pointed out to me, iron sights break. And they're right. I have seen iron sights break on handguns. I have seen front sights get snapped off and things like that. So that's not really a valid argument. It can't never fail. It just has to be as reliable as a front iron sight. Right? And I think these Trijicon RMRs, especially the ones that don't take batteries, they are as rugged as an iron sight. They are ridiculously rugged. I like the one with the green triangle. That is just me. It is more... Well, first of all, I like the triangle. Just like the Steyr trapezoidal sights on a handgun, I really think that's a better design than most of our traditional American 3-dot iron sights. They're not my favorite. If you can have a pointy sight, why wouldn't you have a pointy sight? If I want to shoot fast, I use the whole triangle. If I want to shoot precisely, I use the very tip of the top of the triangle. I like that. And Trijicon, to my knowledge, is the only one that does that. I really like that. Pretty much the same reticle I run on my SCAR 17. The reason I go with green is for years and years in competition and handgun shooting, I run a green fiber optic front sight. And it's just an easy transition for me if I'm going back and forth. I look for green, I focus on the green. With red dots, you don't actually have to, or optical sights, mine's not even a red or a dot. But on optical sights, you don't have to get that hard sight focus. You can look at the target. But either way, I'm looking for that green. So I like green. They make it in other colors. But those Trijicon RMRs, they really impress me and really are a big reason why I changed my mind on the handgun optics. They are rugged. They are reliable. They're a good sight. Going to talk about two small portable water filter systems. One that I don't like and one that I do like. The one that is probably the most popular, ironically, I don't like that much. The LifeStraw. And I've used these quite a bit because, like most other people, that was kind of the one. So I got the LifeStraw. I used it a lot. Used it in the, all kinds of different environments and adverse environments. And although they are light, it's a big water filter. It's not something I'm just sticking in a pocket. They're not heavy, but they are big. And what I found with them is that they get clogged super easy, especially if I'm drinking nasty water, which is kind of the point of the water filter, right? If the water is clean, I just drink it. If the water is nasty and silty and gross, or there might be a dead animal upstream, then I'm using this water filter. The water filter, the LifeStraw, for me got clogged, even though it says it'll filter however many gallons. After a couple of gallons of using it and putting it away and using it the next time, it became so clogged that it would become so clogged as to not really be useful. It would be so hard to get water through it that it really didn't do me any good. And I switched to a Sawyer Mini. That's the next thing I want to talk about. The Sawyer Minis are far better in my opinion. They cost about the same price and they are way better. They're like probably less than half the size. They have threads on one side, which is an awesome design. They come with a water bag, which are nice and are handy and do come in useful. But I just use the Sawyer Mini, and usually whatever environment I'm in, a lot of times I can find a water bottle. I don't know what the thread pitch is on a standard water bottle, but most of your standard water bottles will screw right in, like just a water or a soda bottle that you would normally find. Should screw right into there, and you can carry water with you, one, dirty or clean, and you can squeeze it. Instead of just sucking on the one end, you can squeeze the container and force the water through. Way, way easier, especially if you're out and hiking and dehydrated and you're trying to make time. You're trying to cover a lot of ground. You're not like sitting and setting up camp and making a fire. You're like going from point A to point B and you find a water source, you scoop some up and you squeeze it out real quick and you get enough water. You're not just sitting there for a long time trying to suck water out of a stream. Which it works like that too, and in my opinion works better than the LifeStraw. But the Sawyer Mini, half the size, better, and I found in my experience, I think I've used the Sawyer Mini now than I used the LifeStraw, and I use the LifeStraw quite a bit. It does not, for whatever reason, seem to get nearly as clogged as fast as the LifeStraw. Now over time it will get clogged and will stop working as well, but in my experience it takes far longer for them to get clogged. So there's your two reviews on small portable water filtration systems. This was at the end, but I guess I'll do it now since it ties in. I was trying to think of when I got my actual Berkey for the house. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, got a Berkey. It was quite a bit of money. It was back when I was making that big city money. And even back then I was like, that's a lot of money for a water filter. That thing has paid for itself I don't know how many times over. I drank out of it this morning. My wife and I drink out of it just about every day. That Berkey water filter is awesome. And I got it when I was living in a city because city water, although like clean so that it won't kill you most of the time, not like in the case of Flint, Michigan, or I think somewhere now in Louisiana I heard is having city water problems. But if you're into the prepping survival community, you probably don't just rely on clean water to come out of your tap. You want to be able to make sure that that water can be clean. And even though it's, let's say, palatable coming out of your tap, it's far, far better. It tastes better. It's better for you coming out of a Berkey. So it's good all the time. It's not just good, it's not just good for, when the peanut butter and chocolate hits the fan and the Cubans are parachuting out of the sky to eat your dog or whatever. It's good all the time. It's good on normal day to day, living in the suburbs, giving you and your family clean, healthy water. And even if the water around you becomes contaminated, the Berkey filters out all kinds of stuff. I think, although not cheap, really, really worth it. Something that you literally will use every day. Berkey water filters are by far worth the money. If you're on city water, I'd advise getting the fluoride filters as well. Do your own research on fluoride, but I don't want to add it to my water. The next one, let's talk about ammo. Way more tactical than a Berkey. Actually, the Berkey is probably more important, but ammo, right? I still consider SIG kind of the new kid in the ammo market, and that's because I've been around a long time. Have I been shooting for 30 years? Anyway, I've been around a while. I consider the standard kind of like your Winchester Super X or something like that. And compared to that, SIG ammo it's quite a bit newer. It's only been around a few years. And I've shot it quite a bit in a bunch of different calibers. It's good ammo. Gotta check, especially for like your carry gun. If you've listened, there's whole other episodes on Gunfighter Life about checking your ammo, whether it shoots the same point of aim, point of impact, whether it will expand out of your gun. So I'm not telling you for your carry gun to carry SIG ammo. I'm telling you the SIG ammo quality, in my opinion, is as good as pretty much any other ammo that I've seen. So SIG ammo in 9mm and, 45, and anything that I've seen it in, it's good quality ammo. This is kind of an overall view of the ammo. I know it's a little newer, but if you are holding back on it, it's good ammo. Don't be afraid to buy it. And don't carry it without doing your due diligence. Your life may depend on it. Somebody else's life may depend on it. If we're in the same town or same patch of wilderness, my life may depend on it. So do your due diligence on picking your carry ammo. Make sure it actually works and is reliable in your gun fired by you. Make sure it shoots the same point of aim, point of impact when fired in your gun by you. Make sure it expands out of your gun and your barrel length. But all those aside, I wouldn't discount SIG ammo because it's newer. It's been around long enough now that I think that it is proven. And it's good quality ammo. All ammo is subject to issues. But SIG ammo, in my experience so far, has been as good as Winchester, Remington, things like that. The next one, something for everybody in today's show, sunglasses. If you're in the fishing world, you're probably familiar with spider wire. Been around a long, long time. I fished with spider wire when I was a boy. Spider wire is kind of known as like one of the premium fishing line brands. I had a really nice spider wire reel when I was a kid. Anyway, nostalgia, I'm reminiscing. But spider wire is known in that industry. Well, I found at Walmart a pair of spider wire yellow bronzish tinted fishing glasses, like sunglasses. And if you listen, you know that I'm hard on stuff. And a pair of really nice Oakleys that I kind of keep for on occasions where I don't think I'm going to trash them. I've had those for a long time and I'm trying to keep them nice. But day to day, I tear stuff up. One thing I always like to have is good yellow tinted sunglasses. If you don't know about yellow and shooting, the reason a lot of professionals use yellow tinted sunglasses. I like them as well. Got these for all around sunglasses when it's not super bright, which is a lot of times here in the Pacific Northwest. Super bright, I'll get a darker tint. For yellow and tactical applications and picking up gun sights and things like that, yellow and bronze lenses work really well. Anyway, I got these spider wire sunglasses. They're good glasses and they were like $14. I gotta be honest, I think they're probably better than my Oakleys as far as practically. They wrap around nice, so they're good eye protection, which is important if I'm climbing through scrubs and brush and things like that. Turn out to be good shooting glasses. They're polarized, which is awesome. They work really well for seeing through shiny stuff like looking into the water, which is what that's designed for, but also tactical applications, seeing into vehicles. I tested this out the other day. They work good for that. And at least for me and my head size, they are super comfortable. And they are super comfy without slipping off, which is I like that because a lot of times I'll be like crawling around doing stuff. I don't want my glasses to fall off. Also don't want them to be so tight that after wearing them for a day at the range I have a headache because it's squishing the sides of my head in. Anyway, those spider wire glasses, they're good. Good piece of kit. And like $14.99 at the time of this recording. And within the way the prices and stuff are going, who knows? But they're not overly expensive. Plus, they are also camo. So, zombies won't be able to see your head if you're wearing camo sunglasses. It's just science. The next one I've had for a long time. I've had a few of them. I gave, I think, at least one away. I may have given more than one away. Anyway, the one that I have now is not actually mine anymore. I guess it's my wife's. It's her EDC running knife. It's a Cold Steel Urban Pal. If you've listened for any length of time, you'll know that I like the push dagger. I like it for a backup fighting implement bladed weapon. They're hard to get out of somebody's hand. They're very intuitive to use if you know how to throw a punch. Push daggers are nice. I generally would run one in the front of my war belt on my left side. That kind of blended in. You couldn't really see it unless you were looking for it, but easy to grab and pull out. I usually use a little bit bigger one, but the Urban Pal is a super small, light, handy one. My wife wears it around her neck, especially when she goes hiking, goes running, things like that. It's super light. She can reach up and grab it with either hand. It's so light, and I put it on a piece of micro cord, again as a neck knife, that she doesn't really notice it if she puts it inside her shirt or whatever when she goes running. It is a blade. It will work just like any other blade. Is it a Rambo knife when it comes to, taking out sentries on guard posts? No. But it is way, way better. It is a force multiplier when it comes to hand-to-hand altercations. Just like me, I carry a concealed carry handgun. I carry a firearm, a sidearm, and a knife, which I think you should if you're a man as well, if you're allowed to. My wife also has a CCW handgun, a Glock 42. She also has a blade. This is one of her go-to blades, especially when she's doing outdoorsy type stuff, running, hiking, things like that, which she likes to do. The Cold Steel Urban Pal. They're awesome. I don't think they're overly expensive. I don't remember what that cost. I've had that thing for years and years, and now my wife kind of has it. Anyway, good little light handy blade. Again, it's a push dagger, so it's not a utility knife. It's not going to replace probably your EDC pocket knife, but if you want a good defensive tool that's very minimal, I think it's good for that. Next, Sig Sauer Legion, single action only. This one is not cheap, although I got mine at a really good deal. That's kind of why I have it. I saw it used at a gun store. Nobody wanted it. It had been in there for a while. I got this thing for a really good deal. I don't really care about it being a Legion. In fact, when I got it, I really milled the top of the slide off that said Legion because I got it to mount an optic on it. I know the newer ones come cut for an optic, but this one didn't. But the price was so good, I could literally buy it, have it cut, buy a new barrel for it, and still be out on top. That's what a good price I got on this gun. I got it for certain criteria that I have. I like single action only. I generally run STIs when I'm professionally gunfighting, but the STI is generally too big for me to conceal carry day to day. I really like Berettas. If you listen, you know I really like Berettas. Beretta does make a single action only. The only problem is when they make their single action only, they go to a steel frame, which makes it, I think, heavier than my STIs, so I'm not going to carry it. Sig Legion gave me the option of single action only with a thumb safety like I'm used to, while still maintaining that alloy frame, that aluminum frame, giving me something that I will actually carry day to day, and it is my go-to day-to-day carry gun. It has impressed me. It is a good gun, and I am not a Sig fanboy. Not like if it's Sig, it's awesome. That's not me. The Ammo is good. I'm going to let you know it's good. The Sig 226 Legion is a good gun. It's proven reliable, robust. I got it with a couple of barrels. I've been successfully hunting with it. I've been carrying it at CCW. Thankfully, no, citizen-involved shootings. But it works. The first time I was out and I saw a coyote, and it was, I want to say, at least 50 yards away. And I didn't have a rangefinder, didn't range find it, so by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses, the matter is established. But it was a long shot. I watched it for a little while, making sure it was a coyote and it wasn't a dog. Familiar enough with how coyotes move. I've shot enough of them. But I drew up and shot this coyote with my carry gun in my carry holster, because I was just going out. I just gotten off work and it was light enough that I could go out in the woods, which I like to do, and I figured I'd spend the last little bit of daylight in the woods. Saw this coyote, draw up, shot it, killed it. Long way away. It's a good gun. I kind of bonded with that gun at that point. I was like, okay, this is a proven concept. Good gun. So I named it after my wife. I won't tell you her name on the podcast. One of the patrons pointed out, I did say it on one of the very, very early episodes, but I know I like a gun if I name it. I've named this one. It's a good gun. My one criticism, if I have any on it, is since it's a single action only and most of the SIG 226s are not, some of the parts are proprietary. I like to have spare parts, especially since I don't have two of this gun. I like to have spare parts, but it doesn't take, say, the same kind of hammer spring as a regular 226. And I haven't been able to find like an extra single action only hammer spring, things like that. That said, the SIG 226 is known for being very reliable. It's a good gun. I have damaged a barrel and had to replace it. My fault. I'm going to blame myself for that. I am on my third set of grips. Again, I'm hard on stuff. I smash grip, whatever. Stop it, grip breaks. I'm going to blame me for that. Other than that, it's been a good, robust gun. It is a good balance of very accurate, at least with the Barstow Precision barrel I dropped in it. Very reliable. It's a good gun. A gun that I didn't like on this rant. I bought a FN 509 compact tactical because I wanted a more carryable gun that I can mount an optic on. This seemed like a good choice until I got it and found out that it's really not user-friendly as far as completely disassembling it. In fact, the pins, like the pins on a Glock that you just tap out or the pins on a M&P, they're not meant to be taken out by the user on this gun, which kind of ticked me off. I wanted to put a flat face trigger in there so it was continuity of training with most of the other guns that I train with. Well, they make one, but you can't take the pins out to put it in. At least you're not supposed to. And I literally snapped the frame on my FN 509 before I got the pin out. So, I don't like that gun. At least not for me. If you are the kind of person that just gets a gun and shoots it and puts it away and doesn't ever like completely disassemble it or anything like that, you know, it might be fine. With all the other options, I don't see how I could recommend anybody buy one. Also, the trigger on it is pretty bad. It's worse than a Glock, I think, if that gives you any kind of metric to measure it by. Next one. Going back to cheap and super handy, good review. Little Victorinox. Like the classic little baby Swiss Army knife. In fact, the one I have, I think, is called the Classic. It's just a little baby one. And it definitely is not my EDC carry knife, but it is part of my EDC. It goes in my pocket. It's so light and so handy, I rarely notice that it's there. And it's a good little handy knife. I used it a lot when I was in Arizona. It has tweezers on it, which you'd think you wouldn't use that much, but it comes in really handy. Or digging cactus, spurs out of myself or my dog or things like that. Pulling out splinters, which if you're a man, you probably get quite a bit of in your hands. Pulling stuff like that out is nice to have a pair of tweezers on you. Comes in handier than I thought. Also, I kind of use the blade as kind of my crap blade. I mean, I use it for crap jobs that I don't want to screw up my really nice EDC blade. I would if I had to, but since I don't have to, I use the little blade for just crap jobs. However you want to quantify that. The other thing I probably use the most, and for gun stuff, it has a little screwdriver tip on the file. And that comes in pretty handy for... It's not like a serious hard-use screwdriver, but for like adjusting a sight or sighting in or something like that, comes in super handy. It's a good little tool. Also make a fine extractor for when those rounds sometimes get jammed in your AR-15 chamber. And what I like about it is it's so small and handy. I have mine on some microcord attached to my mini Sharpie. They're about the same size. They go in my pocket. I kind of forget they're there. And when I need them, which I need my mini Sharpie all the time and use it all the time, part of my EDC, this little thing, so light and so handy, you're probably not even going to notice you have it in your pocket. And it has a lot of utility. Anyway, with that, good little... They've been around a long, long time. I've seen them probably since I was a kid and never paid them much attention. Got one and I use it all the time. Again, it's not going to replace and become my only knife that I carry. But it's a good little knife. And sometimes it's nice to have a small blade like that. Like when I go out into the wilderness and I'll carry a bigger fixed blade knife, I'll still carry this little thing. Sometimes you don't want a giant K-bar size blade. Sometimes you just want a little handy blade. It's good for that. Well, man, I would be a bad capitalist if I did not talk about the Alpha Male coffee cup. Sure, you could drink your coffee out of a regular coffee cup, like a beta male. Or you could step up and drink it out of an alpha male coffee cup. Seriously, it's a good cup. I really have used this thing quite a bit. My wife has kind of commandeered it to be her coffee cup. She likes it so much. And I did this long before I made the Alpha Male metal coffee cup, and there's a reason I made the Alpha Male coffee cup metal. I think they're just a better product. It's metal. You can boil water with it. If you've listened for any length of time, you know that I'm into preparedness and survival and going out in the wilderness and that type of stuff. I can boil water in this. I don't have to worry about dropping it and breaking it. I can cook in it. I can shave with it. I can drink my coffee out of it. I do all those things. Now, granted, I wash it in between. But the Alpha Male coffee cup, it's available at goodshepherdtraining.com. It's a good piece of kit. Well, man, thanks for listening to this gear review. Hopefully a lighthearted podcast episode with so much craziness going on in the world. If you like this podcast, if you like an honest review, thinking about buying anything I talked about today, a very small fraction of that can probably lessen the price of a fancy city cup of coffee. You can become a patron and be an active member of the tribe instead of just a listener. We have a pretty cool Patreon chat if you think that you'd like to be part of a tribe of men that talk about this kind of stuff all the time. In fact, when I'm living off-grid in the middle of nowhere without service, I'll often go somewhere that has service just to check in on the tribe and make sure everything's going okay. And I really genuinely like being a part of that tribe. I'm humbled and honored for all the patrons. You don't have to be a part of that inner tribe circle that talks all the time, but it's a really cool thing. Either way, check out Patreon. You do that via goodshepherdtraining.com. Again, goodshepherdtraining.com. Anyway, give it some thought. As a thanks for staying tuned till the end of this episode, your tactical tip of the day. And what's more tactical than peanut butter? As my wife and I pointed out, we were thinking about this the other day, and I believe for my birthday I got 90 pounds of peanut butter, 90, somewhere abouts, maybe more because I think I already had some. Anyway, I am on my last container of that, and I have bought plenty more along the way when I just see some that looks good, or I want a smaller container, because sometimes I don't want to tote around, a 5 pound, which is the smallest I get, tub of peanut butter. A lot of times I definitely don't want to tote around a 35 pound tub of peanut butter. But if you eat your peanut butter by the pound instead of the spoonful, you might appreciate this tactical tip of the day. Or if you just want to save money, we all know that the economy and inflation and everything, just like ammo, if you buy it in bulk, you save. Peanut butter, if you buy it in bulk, you can save. Tactical tip of the day, buy your peanut butter in bulk. The place that I've used for years, Webstrant Store. Cool name, funny name, it's easy to remember, Webstrant Store. Buy your peanut butter in bulk. If you like and eat peanut butter, why not get something you'll actually use? Talk about like an ultimate survival prepper food. It is calorie dense. The reasons I like it. It's got fiber, it's got fat, it's got protein. All the things a growing survivalist needs. It is one of the staple things that I eat. And again, you buy it in bulk and you can save. I like getting the peanut butter that has one ingredient if I can. Ingredients, peanuts. Or ingredients, peanuts and salt. My advice is try and stay away from stuff with all the hydrogenated oils and sugar and all that stuff. You don't need that. Peanut butter is great by itself. Make peanut butter great again. Just peanuts. That's all I need in my peanut butter is peanuts. Maybe peanuts and salt. Anyway, Webstrant Store. You can get other food there in bulk if you're trying to bulk up on your food supply. If it's food you're going to eat anyway, think of it like giving yourself a raise. Because food's probably not getting cheaper in the future. So think about food. If you bought food last year and you eat it this year, it's like giving yourself a raise because you're eating the same food for less money. Anyway, tactical peanut butter. What's a better tactical tip than that? With that, men, I'm humbled and honored to be able to give you a Bible verse today, the tactical verse of the day. This verse is coming out of Psalm 94. If I say my foot slips, your mercy, O Lord, will hold me up. In the multitude of my anxieties within me, your comfort delights my soul. Just remember that whatever is going on in the world, whatever trials and tribulations which come and go, have faith in God. Rest in Him. Cast your burden on the Lord and He will sustain you. He is that rock, a firm foundation in troubled times. With that, men, thanks, and have a blessed day.